Welcome, and thanks for joining us for this analysis. We're taking a really close look today at some frontline reporting.
Yes, specifically, we're working with data released by RBC Ukraine, covering the situation as of November 5th. This comes straight from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine.
And what we have here isn't just, the usual headlines.
Not at all. It's a very detailed operational breakdown. Gives us a fascinating, quite precise look at the scale, the geography of the fighting over, well, just a 24-hour window.
Our aim here is really to cut through the noise. We want to quickly unpack the key moves, the sheer intensity of the attacks, and what the reported results were for that day.
So you can walk away actually understanding the numbers and what they mean on the ground.
Exactly. Okay, before we get into the thick of it, just a quick reminder. You're tuned into Robert and Sarah's Warfront analysis. If you find this kind of breakdown helpful, please do think about subscribing for our daily updates.
Right, it helps us keep doing this. So the big picture first, the overall scale for November 4th to 5th.
Let's start there. What did the report say?
Well, the headline number is pretty stark. The General Staff reported 154 separate combat engagements across the entire front line.
Wow, 154. That's basically constant contact somewhere.
It averages out to an engagement kicking off every 9 or 10 minutes, somewhere along the line. It really confirms the pressure is incredibly high, spread across at least a dozen main directions.
And that number alone is intense, but there was another figure in this report about technology use that just jumped off the page.
You mean the drones?
Yes, an absolutely massive reliance on uncrewed systems. Get ready for this number. Nearly 6,000 kamikaze drones.
Almost 6,000.
Huh.
Operational tactical UAVs used in attacks within that single 24-hour period.
It's staggering. What does that tell us?
Well, it points straight towards a strategy of attrition, doesn't it? Using volume, maybe playing a cost game, but it wasn't just drones.
No, the overall firepower was huge.
Exactly. The total reported attacks reached 4,618, using pretty much everything they have.
And that included rockets.
Yes. Critically, 133 of those attacks involved multiple launched rocket systems, MLRS. We know how devastating those are, high-volume area fire.
133 MLRS attacks is a massive amount of shelling.
It really is. And then add the air activity on top of that.
Right, there were airstrikes, too.
51 airstrikes, 6 missile launches, and 86 guided aerial bombs dropped. These are often the heavier munitions, maybe going after more fortified spots or targets deeper back.
So it's a layered assault. Ground, rockets, drones, bombs. Just constant pressure.
Designed to keep the defenders constantly reacting, denying any chance to rest or regroup effectively.
Let's circle back to that 6,000 drone figure for a second, connecting that to the bigger picture. What does that suggest? Is it like a sign they're short on other munitions, or is this a deliberate tactical shift?
It feels like it could be a bit of both, honestly. But it leans heavily towards a deliberate shift, a move towards rapid, high-volume attrition using relatively low-cost means.
So overwhelm the front lines.
Pretty much. You can use these drones for nonstop surveillance, for harassment, hitting small targets like individual trenches or positions. It just grinds down the defense through constant pressure.
And forces the defenders to use up resources.
Exactly. It forces the Ukrainian side, who are showing incredible resilience here, mind you, to constantly use their air defenses against lots of small, cheap targets. The hope, from the attacker's perspective, is maybe to save their tanks and heavier gear for when they think they see a gap.
It really changes the whole tactical game.
It does.
Okay, so with that level of sheer volume, 154 engagements, 6,000 drones, where is the main focus? Where was the heaviest fighting concentrated in this report?
Oh, no question there. The absolute hot spot, the real pressure point, was the Pokrovsk sector. That's where the bulk of the offensive effort seems to be directed right now.
And the numbers really back that up. In just that one sector, Ukrainian defenders reportedly stopped 52 enemy assaults.
52. Just think about that. Repelling 52 distinct pushes in 24 hours in one area, that takes immense effort and coordination.
And it wasn't just one small spot, was it? The report mentions several towns there under attack.
That's right, the fighting was spread out. Places like Shakov, Myrnorad, Radinsky, Pokrovsk itself, Udakne, Novokrinka, and Dokny were all mentioned. It shows the assaults were broad within that sector.
So Pokrovsk is clearly the main target, but the pressure wasn't only there, right? You said a dozen directions were active.
Crucially, no. The defenders are being stretched. They have to watch multiple fronts, which makes it harder to move reinforcements around easily. There are other areas with pretty high activity.
Okay, let's break those down too. Where else was hot?
Well, we saw significant action in the Sloviansk direction. 17 enemy attacks reported repelled there, near places like Serebryanka and Seversk.
17, okay.
Then the Oleksandrivka direction saw 15 attacks launched, targeting areas like Yahorivka and Yalta.
15 there.
The Kostiantynivka direction faced 11 attacks, and the Lyman direction had 10 attacks repelled.
So still double-digit attacks in multiple other zones.
Yes, the strategy appears to be, keep probing everywhere. Force the defenders to commit troops and resources all along the line, not just in Pokrovsk.
It paints a picture of a really wide front under strain, even with that main focus. What about the areas with less activity, the flanks?
Good point. Need the full picture. The Kupiansk direction saw 5 repelled attacks reported, and the southern Slovansky direction saw 9. Lower numbers, relatively speaking, but still active fighting.
And any areas that were quiet?
The most positive news, from the defensive standpoint of the report, was regarding the northern border areas. The Volyn and Policia directions, the General Staff confirmed no signs of enemy offensive groups forming there.
That's significant. It means resources don't need to be diverted north right now.
Exactly. Allows focus on the east and south where the pressure is intense.
Okay, let's shift from the ground combat to those airstrikes we mentioned earlier. The 51 strikes, the 86 guided bombs. Where did those hit? Because that shows the war's reach beyond the immediate front.
That's a really important point. These weren't just hitting the front lines. The Russian air power was used to strike further afield. We saw reports of impacts in the Sumy region near Zemlyanka.
Okay, up north?
The Chernihiv region near Tarasivka. Also north, then down in the Dnipropetrovsk region near Pokrovsky and Oleksivka.
And further south, too.
Yes, settlements in the Zaporizhzhia region like Solodky, Polyphy, and Rivnopilia were also hit. It really underlines the danger to civilians and infrastructure across a much wider area.
So, in the face of all this, the Pokrovsk assaults, the shelling, these widespread airstrikes, what was the Ukrainian response? Did the report detail their counteractions?
It did. The Ukrainian Defense Forces were clearly focused on hitting back at the things enabling these Russian attacks.
Like what specifically?
Well, the report mentions striking 5 areas where enemy personnel, weapons, and equipment were concentrated, trying to disrupt their staging areas.
Makes sense.
But perhaps the most telling number is the counter-battery success. They reported targeting 9 Russian artillery systems.
9 artillery systems taken out. That feels really significant given the volume of shelling.
It's absolutely vital. That, and they also reported hitting 1 other important adversary target, though the specifics weren't given there. But hitting those guns is key.
How hard is that to do, taking out active artillery?
Oh, it's incredibly complex. It requires really good technology and coordination. You need counter-battery radar to pick up the incoming rounds instantly, figure out where they came from.
Triangulate the position.
Exactly. And then get your own artillery firing back accurately within minutes, ideally before the enemy gun can fire again and move what they call shoot and stoop.
So hitting 9 in a day suggests they're getting pretty good at it.
It suggests highly effective use of, likely, Western-supplied counter-battery systems and really sharp operational procedures. Winning that artillery duel is critical.
Which brings us neatly to the reported losses for the day. What did the General Staff claim in terms of Russian casualties and equipment destruction?
The headline personnel number reported was 900 Russian soldiers lost for the day.
900. And equipment.
The equipment losses really reflect that intense fighting, especially the focus on artillery and drones we've been talking about.
Walk us through the numbers.
Okay, so the report lists 3 tanks and 3 armored combat vehicles destroyed. Fairly low numbers for armor, actually.
Interesting. But the support weapons?
That's where the numbers jump. 24 artillery systems reported destroyed.
24? Wow.
Also 2 air defense systems taken out. And linking back to that massive drone usage,
They must have shot down a lot.
the report claims 398 operational tactical UAVs destroyed, plus 70 units of automotive equipment trucks, logistical vehicles.
Okay, let's pause on that artillery number again. 24 systems in 24 hours. For someone listening, what's the real significance of that? What does that tell us?
It tells us a couple of really crucial things. First, it strongly suggests the Ukrainian side is currently winning the counter-battery fight in key sectors. That directly saves lives on their side and limits the damage from shelling.
And
Second, it shows the Russians are having to commit a lot of artillery, putting it at risk, to try and break through those defenses, especially around Pokrovsk.
And losing that many isn't easy to replace.
Not at all. Artillery pieces are complex. They need trained crews. Losing 24 in a day puts a huge strain on our whole system. Manufacturing, training, logistics needed to keep up that kind of offensive pressure.
And the 398 drones destroyed. That links back to the 6,000 used, showing the scale of that air defense effort.
Absolutely. The defenders are clearly having to work overtime to shoot down these UAVs, knowing how dangerous they are for spotting and striking. 398 is a high number shot down, but it also means a massive number getting through, or at least requiring engagement.
Which must drain their air defense missiles and systems.
Exactly. It's a constant technological and resource battle. They have to decide what to shoot at a cheap drone or save the missile for a potential fighter jet or cruise missile. It puts immense stress on the defenders.
Which leads to the big question, really. How sustainable is this for the attackers? Losing 900 personnel, 24 artillery systems, nearly 400 drones, day after day.
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Sustaining these kinds of losses, especially in critical equipment like artillery, makes it exponentially harder to launch effective, large-scale, combined arms operations over the long haul.
It just eats away at their capability.
It has to. Replenishing trained crews and complex weapon systems at that rate becomes incredibly challenging.
Okay, so let's try and pull this together for everyone listening. This snapshot from November 5th shows what? A really intense, focused Russian push in Pokrovsk.
Definitely. Alongside continued significant pressure across maybe a dozen other spots.
And this unprecedented reliance on drones alongside heavy, heavy shelling.
Yes, a defining feature right now. But crucially, the report also details a defense that is largely holding, repelling the vast majority of those 154 reported engagements.
That resilience comes through strongly in the numbers.
It does. And this level of detail, going from the big picture down to specific sectors, even mentioning a single engagement near Stupatsky in the Kramatorsk direction, it shows the whole spectrum, the big strategic pushes versus the small localized fights.
It reminds you the war is fought village by village, trench by trench.
Precisely. And winning that counter-battery fight, taking out 24 artillery systems, that's likely what's enabling the front line to hold against such pressure.
So the final thought for you, the listener, based purely on this specific report.
Maybe consider this. The sheer number of repelled attacks in that one Pokrovsk sector, 52. Think about the planning, the fortifications, the coordination, and just the sheer determination needed on the ground to withstand that kind of focused, relentless assault day in, day out. That number 52 repelled speaks volumes about the resilience in that specific critical place.